Hey everybody, so you want to move to Russia. So this is the third and final part of my little mini series of how to apply for temporary residency or TRP. In the first two videos I've covered off from an Englishman's perspective coming from the UK. First video covered off documents, what documents you would need, and the second video was more about the actual immigration centre that I've applied to, which is in the Krasnodarsky Krai region. Its location, a very, very good hotel. It's very useful, and I've explained in the second video why. And just part of the process. This video, I'm going to just tell you about the actual application itself. Once you've done all of your checks, once you've got all your paperwork together and you've made the application to submit your application, and also the costs. Also in this video I'm going to tell you about my absolute heart attack moment in the immigration centre, where it looked like it was going, as we say in the UK, very pear-shaped. So there was a bit of I don't want to say trouble, but there was certainly a moment, as I'll explain, that I thought it was going to go very, very wrong. And also going to tell you something that you're not going to be told. So when you apply, this information isn't going to be given to you. So, and it's absolutely vital. It's really, really important that you know this. So at some point in the video, I shall let you know. So you'll just have to watch the whole video to see what that is. But trust me, you need to know it. And it's highly unlikely that you will know. So let's start. Where should we start? Let's start with the costs, shall we? So, as a ballpark figure, you're looking at about 20,000 rubles. Now, in that price, that will cover your medical or your medical checks, which is a chest X-ray, it's a blood test, urine sample, eyesight, I think, and a couple of other bits. But effectively, that's in that cost. It also covers photographs, so even though you will be taking photographs with your application, they will take photographs of you right there. This is, you know, for various reasons, but you'll have photographs actually in the immigration centre as well. And also fingerprinting. As I explained in the previous video, number 2, the fingerprinting and the medical process is kind of a bit odd, because the medical side of things is open till 5 p.m. The fingerprinting side, when we went, was open till noon. So, and you can't go for fingerprinting until you've had the medical and you've had all of the ticks in the box that you can present for fingerprinting. So it's kind of, I won't say it's impossible, but you need to be there at the crack of dawn, get the medical side of things done really quick, and then get up for fingerprinting. For me, by the time we actually got through the medical process, it was 2:30 in the afternoon. So we couldn't go and get our fingerprints done anyway. So as I've said, have a look at the second video and I'll talk a bit more about that, and, you know, what we decided to do and what I found was a much better option, which was, you know, staying overnight. So yeah, you've got about $9,500 for that kind of, you know, for the medical and the fingerprints, the photographs, etc. We also paid 850 rubles for a consultation. Now, this enables you to take the paperwork that you've got and have, like I say, a consultation where they will check your paperwork, they'll have a look at it, and they'll tell you if there's something missing. They'll tell you the process, they'll tell you where you need to go, they'll tell you what you need to do. You don't need to pay for this, you don't need to have that consultation, but I think you'd be mad not to, because no matter what, you're always going to find something that maybe you haven't done correctly. Now, they're not going to go in depth through everything that you've got and check and double check all your paperwork. That's your job. You need to make sure that you've got the correct paperwork for the Russian Federation, for their requirements, for the application. It's very clear what they want. You need to make sure that you've got that. It's not their responsibility to ensure that you've got the right paperwork. It's yours. And while I'm thinking about that, I'll talk about a police check as well, briefly. So have the consultation. It's well worth it. It's 850 rubles. Why wouldn't you? On top of that, you're looking at about, I think it was around 1.9, nearly 2,000 rubles for the actual application submission itself. And 5,500 rubles for the application to be filled out and filed. So I didn't have an application form. When we went to apply, or to make the appointment to apply with our documents, we opted for, and I don't know if it's compulsory, but it was certainly what we chose to do, and this was for them to fill out the application in the immigration centre. So they told us what we needed, which was obviously, again, all of the forms, and they gave us a form to fill out for parents, you know, age or date of birth, mothers, fathers, children, occupation, where they live, that kind of thing. So you get this form to fill out. Very simple. You know, you should know your siblings and your parents' dates of birth, etc. So there's nothing technical about that, nothing difficult about that. And that's pretty much the only information they need from you, because everything else is in the documents. So the actual application filling out process, we didn't do. They did it for us. So we just gave them the documents that they required, and they submitted the application, and it's all on computer. So that part of things was really easy. It's very simple. Lovely lady, super helpful, very efficient, as they are. They don't, you know, they're not there to chat and make small talk. They're just very efficient. You know, they look through what you've got and they say, yeah, I need this piece, and you give them that, and blah, blah, blah. Just before I move on, let me just go back to the police check. If you're coming from the UK, it's absolutely vital that you get the right police check. A lot of people are still making this mistake and thinking it's a DBS check, which in the UK, we know, you know, everybody applies for a DBS. Can you get a DBS check if you're working for children, or working with children if you're working in a pub, for example, or security or anything like that? DBS check. That is not acceptable in the Russian Federation. You need a proper police check. Now, you can't go to the .gov site and find it there. I don't think. It might be there. But I will put a link in the description of this video. There's also a link in my previous video, I think, for it. And it's what we call an acro test. So the website is, I think it's www.acro.co.uk, something along them lines. But like I say, I'll put the link in the description. I might have got that wrong. But it's ACRO. And that's an official police check. So it's an official certificate, and it's, you know, it's the only one that will be accepted. You will need to get that notarized. You will need to get it translated. So don't make that mistake. Don't come with a DBS check. A lot of people have done it. I nearly did it myself. And at this point, I do want to thank Derek and Svetlana for their immense help in getting my police check to me. Yeah, that proved invaluable. And that's another thing you need to think about. If you're coming to Russia for your 3-month visa and you wish to apply whilst you're here, you need to bring with you, as a minimum, your police certificate. Because getting it to Russia, obviously under the current situation, is extremely difficult. You know, it's not a straightforward thing about putting it in the post. You're going to need to courier it. It's going to be a faff. So make sure you do that thing, you know, when you're in the UK. And also remember that your police check lasts for 3 months. So you've got 90 days. So you need to time all of this correctly. Don't just be blasé about it, because you might turn up in Russia. You might not be able to make an appointment at your medical centre straight away. You might have to wait for the application process, etc. And that will tick away and eat your time up. So time, you know, look into it. Look into the police check, the certificate, how long it's going to take. You can speed the process up, pay a little bit more. You can get, you know, 1 or 2 day turnaround. But look into all of the time frames and then plan everything, because what you don't want to do is arrive in Russia with only 4 weeks left on your police check, because the official line is it's 90 days. So whilst they may turn around to you, if you've arrived in Russia and you haven't left, they might turn around and go, okay, we'll accept it. As some people have said, oh, they'll accept it, it's fine. They might not, if it's outside of those 90 days. Do you want to take the risk? So just make sure you've got that time frame nailed and you've got plenty of time left on your police check to actually go through the medical process and submit your application. So that is very important, but that's not the most important thing. I'll tell you that in a while. So that's, that's kind of the costs. So you're looking at about 20,000 rubles, £180, something like that. And like I say, that's to do all your medical checks, your fingerprinting, your photograph, the actual application itself. So anyhow, we're sat at the application. We're giving all of the documents through that they need. It's not a long process. As the lady comes, down through the list of stuff that she needs to look at, she starts advising us about the minimum requirements. If you're granted temporary residency, you need to spend a minimum of 180 days in the Russian Federation. That doesn't have to be 180 days consecutively, but in any one calendar year, it must be 180 days. So you can be here for 2 months and then you can leave for 10 or leave for 6, or 8, and then come back and do the rest. Do the maths, you'll work it out. So we're talking all about that. She's also saying, telling us that once we submit our application, you're looking at 4 months before you get the official stamp. So once the application is accepted, at that point, they've checked all your paperwork, everything's correct. They've made the application, you've paid all your fees, in it goes. It's then 4 months from that date before they say to you, you can now have a stamp in your passport, assuming they accept your application. So bear that in mind as well. If you come in here, you can't work, you can't do anything, so you need to make sure you've got enough funds to support yourself. So, I think if you're on a long-term visa, you can probably submit your application and then return back to the UK, for example, for a couple of months and then come back. But you need to check that. I don't want to say, yes, you can definitely do it and find out you can't, and, potentially somebody's taken my advice. So I'm telling you what I've done, and I'm telling you what you probably need to check. So just check on that, but I think you can. If you've got a visa, it's still valid. If you've got a multi-entry visa, it's still valid. If you've come on the 3-month visa, you'll need to check the requirements for that. It might be that you need to stay for those 3 months, but it is 4 months from application submission until they say yes or no. If they say yes, you need to return to the visa centre, and you'll have, just like your visa in your passport, it's not just a rubber stamp, thanks, goodbye. It's a proper printed document, and it will be in your passport, and that's the temporary residency permit, and that's your 3-year permit. So here we get to the first heart attack, So we're sat at the window, we've submitted all the paperwork, we've given everything that we think we need. She's checking it all through. She gets to my police check and she looks at it and she says, this isn't correct. Now, that was where I had a heart attack, because where my police check had come from, obviously from the UK, but the route that it had taken, it had gone through some very, very knowledgeable people. And there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that it was correct. But when an official at the visa centre, at the immigration centre is saying, this isn't correct, you just straight away go, uh-oh. So basically she said, I'll get my supervisor. Supervisor came along, looked at it. No. What do you mean? No, this is incorrect. You need an FBI check. And I'm like, what? And he said, no, this is wrong. We cannot accept this. What you need to do now is go round to the director, and we'll see, and you can have a meeting with the director and see if he will accept this as your criminal record check. But this isn't the right document. And at that point, your head's just spinning. You're not thinking too clearly. You're just, oh my God, because trust me, when you get to this point, you've paid a lot of money to get there. You've had a lot of help. It's taken a long time. You spent money. Obviously, we've gone to Krasnodar. It's not just to pop to the shops. It's still 200 kilometers away. So there's a significant amount of time and money that you've invested into this. And for them to turn around and say, this isn't correct, that's the application, that's end of. You've got to especially with the police check, because it's timed. You've then got to get that again. So it's like, oh my God. So they've basically said you need to go away from the window and wait to see a director and see if he will accept it. As we're walking away, because this conversation's been had in Russian and I've only heard bits of it, and I heard I think FB there or something, and I thought, that doesn't sound right. So as we're walking away, I said to the wife, what's the problem? And she says, well, they're saying you need an FBI check. FBI check? No, there is no FBI in the UK, that's American. Well, that's what they're saying. I said, but that's impossible, that's not correct. I said, no, they think I'm American. Let's go back. So we went back to the window and said, it's no FBI in the UK. I'm Angliski, not America. And she looked at me and she went, yeah, but it still needs, this isn't the right document. I said, it is the right document. It's the police check from the UK resident. Oh, so she got her supervisor. She came back and they looked at the document. And again, I reiterated, I'm not American. It is not an FBI check. FBI check is for Americans. It is not for UK citizens. UK has this as a police check. Supervisor went, you're not American. I went, no. And what had happened, she had, we think, come in, she'd looked at the paperwork and she'd seen, obviously, the English writing. And this is often the case here, assumed that I was American. And that is a very common thing in Russia. If you speak English, then most people will assume you're American. So she just made the assumption that I was American, hence she was looking for an FBI check. And also, it's worth pointing out, there's not many English people going through there. So they're not seeing an English police certificate. That's not something that's fallen across their desk on a regular basis. So you can't say, oh, they should know, and this, that, and the other, because if they're not seeing it, you know, and that's why the lady that I was dealing with got a supervisor. And it's very easy to just make that simple mistake with assumption. So that's what, you know, that's pretty much what we think happened. And then she went away and she came back and she said, no, this is fine. This is correct. This is the right document for UK. And at that point, it was like, oh, thank God. So I was having, you know, I was like, oh my God. And she was smiling and she was saying, I'm really sorry. And all the rest of it. I said, no, it's fine. It's just, you know, this is so important to me. So that was that. We got through that and everything was fine. The application was submitted, and once you submit your application, you go through that process, they give you one of these. So this is, as you can see, looks like a €500 note. It's actually a chocolate. And the lady could see that I was, I won't say stressed, but certainly relieved that they'd accepted the police check. So that's what she gave me. She said, oh yeah, have this. I think she felt sorry for me. Probably thought my blood sugar level was going. So she gave me that. I'm going to keep it. I won't be opening that because that's my little memento. That's my little reminder of the occasion. So you won't get one, but I did. So anyhow, that's my little thing. So that's the application. That's the submission. As I said, this is relevant to me as a UK citizen. If you're coming from somewhere else in the world, you're not a UK citizen, there's all sorts of quirks. You know, you might have dual residency somewhere. You might have a million and one different things regarding applying than I do. So you need to check for yourself. But as a UK resident, as I am, this is the process that I went through. These are the costs that I incurred in my region. Again, this is Krasnodarsky Krai. You might find Moscow, it's different. The process might be slightly different. The cost might be slightly different. I will at this point tell you that there is an organisation, and I believe it is called Moving to Russia. And that's gaining a lot of traction, a lot of momentum. It's supported by the Russian government. And they will assist you in going through all of this process. I don't know exactly what they do because I haven't done it. My wife is Russian. We've done it ourselves. But they will assist you through going through all of this process. So if you're not in a position where you've got a Russian speaker like I have, or you're just very nervous about doing the process yourself and you would much rather just get some assistance, pay a lawyer or whatever and have it done for you, absolutely fine. I'm not telling you that you should or you shouldn't do it my way or their way or whatever. All I'm saying is these videos that I've done are me, my process, my documentation of what I've done. just to show you what the process involves. So it's not sort of, you know, you wondering about, oh, what have I got to do? You know, it's a really straightforward and it's a simple process, but you need to make sure everything's right. So this is the purpose of the videos. It's not to tell you, go and get a lawyer, don't get a lawyer. It's entirely up to you. But there you go. That organisation is there. If, like I say, you haven't got any help with the language, and that can be a bit daunting. Could you apply for residency? Could you do all of this if you can't speak the language and you were doing it on your own? Yes, you could. It will be a faff. You will have to use a translate app of some description. But ultimately, going in to the medical, doing the fingerprints, photographs, you've got to do that no matter what assistance you get. So you can pay a lawyer all the money in the world, you are still going to have to be there personally to have your fingerprints done. You're still going to have to be there personally to have your photograph taken. And you're still going to have to be there personally to do the medical. So no matter what, there's a massive part of the process that you've got to be there for that somebody can't do for you, no matter how much money you're paying. So, you know, it's worth bearing that in mind. You know, don't just think that you can pay an organisation and that's it, job done. You're still going to have to go through this process. Now, the medical side of things in Krasnodar is very slick. It's literally in one door, you come out that door and somebody points to the next door. So it's not a question of having to have a deep conversation with anybody. They just, you know, when it's a urine sample, they give you a pot and direct you to the toilet and go there. When you come out, they go there, go and deliver it there. When you come out from that, you go for a chest x-ray and they point to the next door. So it's very slick. You know, you're a bit of rabbit in the headlights because you think, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's very slick. They just point at a door. So there's no worries there. You don't need to, you know, speak the language, but you can't have anybody go in with you. So that's why I'm telling you this. So if you have gone with somebody, you're still going to be going through that on your own, but it is very slick. You haven't got to worry about it. And the same with the fingerprinting. You know, you might have to have a very brief conversation with somebody, same with a photograph, very brief, but with a Google Translate app, yeah, like I say, it's not going to be slick. It's going to be a bit of a faff, but you could do it. You could do it. So probably the most difficult part of it is getting your police check from the UK. If, for example, you came to Russia and you didn't bring it with you, then that is going to be your hardest bit. And that's why I'm grateful to Derek and Svetlana, because that would have been, you know, my sticking point. So that's that. That's the submission. That's what you do. It's very simple. If you've got any questions about that, you can always ping me an email or join my Telegram group. Now, here's the piece of information that I said you need to know, that they won't tell you. Once you've applied for temporary residency, you've submitted your application and you wait 4 months to get your stamp and you're operating on your visa, and your visa may well allow multiple entry, it may not, depends what type of visa you got. That's all fine. Once you've got that stamp in your passport for temporary residency, you need a visa to leave Russia. Yep. So if you want to then, once you've been accepted as a temporary resident in Russia, if you want to travel outside of Russia, just like a Russian, you will need a visa to travel out. So Russians have two passports. They have an internal passport and an external passport. Your visa will effectively give you permission to leave. Now, that may sound very strange and very totalitarian to some people, but it's not. It's just the rule. It's no big deal, but you need to make sure that you get the visa to allow you to leave. If you don't, you're going to rock up at the airport once you've booked your flights to go back to the UK, and you ain't going to be able to go through. So it's vital that you apply for your visa at the same time. So when you go back to, in my case, Krasnodar, to get my stamp in the passport, we will make an appointment a few weeks beforehand to submit for the visa as well, because you've got to do that at the immigration centre. So that's probably another couple of hours of, you know, application for the visa to leave, even though you may not be planning to leave, but should you need to 2 months after you've got the stamp in your passport, you won't be able to. You need to have that visa. And it's not a case of, you know, just turning up and getting a rubber stamp. It isn't that. You need to make an application to leave Russia once you've been accepted for temporary residency. So you won't get told that. You won't get told that at submission. And unless you go and read all of the rules and regulations as to what's needed, you might not pick up on it either. And certainly I haven't seen anybody talking about it and telling you that that's what you need to do. So again, that's the reason, that's why I'm telling you. So make sure once you submit your documents, you've got the date on when you're going to come and get the stamp in your passport. Make sure that you make on the same date an application to apply for a visa to leave the Russian Federation, assuming you get accepted. So good luck, fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully I'm now waiting to see if I get accepted. I don't see any reason why I won't. Everything is fine, all of my application is fine. So everything should be fine. So yeah, good luck to you if you choose to do it this way. Hopefully these videos have helped you. If not, if you want to do it through Move to Russia or some other organisation, no problem. But like I say, this is just to document how I've done it, what the costs are. You're looking at about 20,000 rubles. And yeah, like I say, good luck, make your choice, and see you on the other side. Thanks for watching.